Well, hey everybody, in this video we're going to be talking about the 5 things that I love about Gibson guitars. Let's get into it. So what is going on, everybody? Thank you so much for joining me for today's video. My name's Ray. I'm a guitar player here on YouTube, and I'm really excited to knock out this video because above everything, I've been a lifelong Gibson fan. That's right, regardless of any sort of drama or corporate, whatever, man, at its core, the brand Gibson is very near and dear to my heart, and there's a lot of sentimental value to me with Gibson and Les Pauls especially, and I love Gibson, man. I love Gibson. The brand is such a part of my childhood and part of my upbringing, and I still am a huge fan of the brand to this day. And I just figured I'd just sit down with you all and just come up with 5 things that I really love about the company. Okay, starting right off, number 1 is the sound. Apart from a few guitars from like the mid 2010s, like 2015, 2016, 2017. That I have played that were really hollowed out and had all the dip switches and all that stuff. Remember that stuff? Anyway, man, apart from those guitars, generally speaking, almost every single Gibson that I've picked up and played, it sounds pretty rad. You know what I mean? I don't know. I think Gibson gets the sound at its source right pretty good, man. You know what I mean? Doesn't necessarily stay in tune all that well, whatever. Being half serious. But regardless, man, the sound of a Gibson, the sound of a Les Paul especially. I'm going to be using Les Pauls a lot for this example because that's my favorite Gibson shape. But the sound of a Gibson, it just, generally speaking, more often than not, they all sound pretty rad. You know what I mean? They just have that iconic, rock and roll sounds. So above all, I love almost all of the tones out of all the Gibsons I've ever played in my lifetime. Number 2 is the shapes. Now, apart from the Strat, pretty much, Gibson has kind of almost, I don't want to say invented, but yeah, you know what, I'll say it for the sake of this video. They've kind of invented most of the traditional guitar shapes. Single cuts, Explorer shapes, Vs, whatever, man, SGs, etc., man. We've seen a lot of different brands emulate and kind of pay homage to, we'll say, the Gibson shapes, man. And, people are still fighting about these things in court to this day. The shapes are iconic, they're classic. And, yeah, man, Gibson has some pretty rad shapes, you know what I mean? Number 3, to go along with their shapes, is the look. I think Les Pauls and Gibsons in general, man, I think they just look really, really good, man. I mean, obviously there's some stinkers out there with some weird color choices or something like that, but, for example, this is a natural 1978 Gibson Les Paul custom, man. It looks amazing. It looks like it's wearing a tuxedo or something, you know what I mean? And then match that with the natural relicing of aging of almost 45 years of playing. It just looks so cool, you know what I mean? So I just think, generally speaking, more often than not, most Gibson guitars, they kind of look pretty rad, you know what I mean? Number 4 is something that Gibson would probably put number 1, and that is the history of the company. Again, I'm a dad rocker at heart. I've said it a million times on this channel, but I grew up with the classic rock of the 60s and 70s, man, like Aerosmith and Zeppelin and Van Halen and Kansas and Boston and whatever, man, you know, every band from the 60s and 70s. I listened to, dude. And even a little bit in the 80s, Les Pauls and Gibsons kind of made their, you know, their way in there a little bit, but it wasn't until like Slash came that it really became cool again. But anyway, staying focused, right? Yeah, man, I grew up on all these rock stars playing Gibsons. And so, like, for me as, like, an 10, 11, and 12-year-old kid learning how to play guitar and really getting obsessed with it, you know, it's the same obsession that I had then as I do now. Yeah, just getting obsessed with the guitars and learning about guitars, man. Like, the Gibson players were so cool. You know what I mean? When I first started playing guitar in 2003, there was a DVD called the Led Zeppelin DVD, as well as the How the West Was Won live CD that coincided with the release. Seeing Jimmy Page on DVD, you know, for like 3-4 hours of playing with his Les Pauls was like mind-blowing as a kid. So that image and all those images and those concert footages from those DVDs, you know, stick in my brain to this day. So, like, you know, the players are just like iconic, and they all play Gibsons, and they're all, you know, legends. So yeah, the people who play them, they're pretty good players, you know what I mean? Last but not least, the sentimental one, number 5, is It Reminds Me of My Dad. Kind of everything I just explained with Led Zeppelin, you know, How the West Was Won, that whole era, 2003. My dad introduced me to that. My dad introduced me to all the bands from the 60s and 70s and 80s that I mentioned. My dad introduced me to guitar. My dad introduced me to a lot of cool things that I, you know, still wear, quote unquote, to this day. And my love for Gibsons and Les Pauls is a derivative of my dad. My dad's no longer with us. He passed away a long time ago. But anytime I play a Gibson or see a Les Paul, there's a part of me that thinks of him, and there's a part of him that will always be in there that just, I don't know, just kind of keeps his memory alive. And, you know, playing Gibsons kind of keeps his memory alive. I don't know what that says psychologically or whatever, but yeah, my dad introduced me to Gibsons and Les Pauls and all that stuff. So because of him, I'm here right now making this video. So Gibson's very sentimental to me because they remind me of my dad. So everybody, to wrap up this video, I'll say this. Yes, people are very polarizing and divisive over the Gibson brand. And like I said, man, contrary to like the public opinion of positive or negative, I'm here to just share my positive opinion, man. I've grown as a content creator, and I'm really just not into any sort of like drama news anymore. I've cut that out completely. Some of you guys have noticed that already. Yeah, I'm totally just here going forward all about feel good vibes and just positive vibes and spreading, you know, positive energy. So anyway, man, I'm getting a little out there right now about Gibsons and just, you know, just drama on the internet and guitars. But yeah, man, Gibsons are cool, dude. They're cool to me. And they just hold a special place in my heart. So everybody, that's going to do it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. What did you guys think of my list, my top 5? Leave your thoughts down below on Gibson guitars. Do you like them? Do you not like them? Why or why not? And I'll meet you down below in the comments, and we'll talk all things Gibson, all right? Everybody, that's going to do it for me. If you're brand new to my channel and want to consider subscribing, I'd really appreciate it. I am out of here. Stay safe, stay healthy, and stay metal. I'll see you guys next time. Later.